My wonderful, beautiful, amazing birthday, Virgos. Happy birthday to my beautiful followers, to my fledglings, to all Virgos out in this world. May all of your beautiful dreams, wishes, and desires all come true after you blow out your birthday candles. But anyway, I really hope that, everything is going well for you guys, and thank you so much for joining me today and stuff. But anyway, I'm Gabriella from Gabriella's Vampire Tarot. For today, I'm going to be doing your general love reading, your 5-card spread. But before I do that, I want to offer these 12 red roses first as a gift, because I feel like that all Virgo should always receive any type of gift possible, but also as a token of my love and appreciation for your love, support, and devotion towards my channel and myself. And also thank you so much for joining me today. So this 5-card love reading includes that the first card represents you, the second, the other person, the third, the relationship, the fourth, the past, the fifth, the future. Then I'm going to draw a Vampire Oracle for you, and then a Favoli, and then one card from the French Tarot deck of the Tarot Interdit Vampiria. But let's get started with card number 1, which is for you, and goodness, you get the 5 of Pentacles, poverty or being left out in the cold. Wow. I'm kind of getting, that there was either, rejection, refusal, or there was a divorce or breakup that took place. Yeah. I mean, the thing is, it's like, I'm sorry if you are suffering in current times. I don't feel like that any person should ever be suffering, and especially when you feel like that there was potential in some kind of relationship, for that matter, where you pretty much just think, nope, it just turned into one big nightmare because, it first looked incredibly promising in other ways, but then it just became just nothing but just a big, problem, in our lives in other ways. But it could also be, well, hopefully it is for the best, because here's my antidote. If you've ever been rejected or refused by any person, ignore them and improve yourself and turn yourself into this real big, powerful, shiny beacon of whatever, you hope to eventually become, whether it's a personal makeover, whether it's actually going back to the academics and improving, anything, maybe learning, new skills, languages and stuff like that. And just do a lot of, self-development and self-improvement, for that matter. And then if that other person were to come back to you and they say, wow, Virgo, you actually changed. I didn't realize you would actually do that. Ignore them. Walk away and to say, you know what, we could have built something together like this, but instead you were just too one-sided and only thinking about these, these traits that you hope to come across and stuff like that. But I'm just going to give you the, boot right now. So, yeah. But in other ways, I hope you're not suffering. Because the other person of who could be or is strength, Leo energy. Okay. Well, on a positive note, as I do see strength and confidence coming from you. But on a negative note, it looks like that maybe, there was definitely some kind of conflict with maybe a strength or a Leo individual, or somebody who just became a bit too passionate, too fiery in other ways. Yeah, I've actually, come across a couple of Leo-Virgo relationships, and sad but true, they may not always be applicable. They might not even, connect, in other ways where it just, but, you would really hope, because it's like it's like the bonfire, kind of log on fires kind of relationship. Very cozy, warm, supportive, and nurturing, and passionate. But yeah, but on a different note, as I do see, that you may have been rejected or refused, or maybe, or maybe somebody instigated a breakup or divorce, but you are also incredibly strong, powerful, bold yourself. Because the relationship is 8 of Wands. Now, the thing is the 8 of Wands is that there's definite fast movement and development taking place in current times. Because the thing is, it's like, maybe, it's like, actually it would be, interesting to see if this movement is about you using your strength and courage to actually, leave, any kind of negative situation, and just kind of think, I'm going to take off and head off towards a different direction. And maybe, doing a lot of self-development, self-improvement in other ways. That's also what the 8 of Wands could also, will symbolize in other ways, where as long as there's movement and development, it also is pretty much part of healing. Because if you even get a chance to watch one of my previous videos about Elizabeth Bathory and the history of blood, as long as blood flows, that usually means that the body is functioning, but blood is also incredibly healing as well, because a lot of I don't want to come across too You know, like, but anyway, you know, blood, if you apply any kind of fresh blood on any kind of wound, it does take about a few days, but eventually you do see that blood, and it does eventually heal that particular wound in other ways as well. And that's why transfusions are also incredibly beneficial as well. But there's definitely movement taking place. But anyway, because in the past, you got the Empress, you in your beautiful full glory, and that's what I like to see, is that you were probably already like in the, yeah, in the position of maybe wanting to find some kind of courtship date. Maybe you were actually in the position of new beginnings in other ways, where you pretty much just thought, okay, I'm now ready to head out into this world, and I'm going to try to find whoever I'm heading off towards in other waves. And it's all about fertility, abundance, you know, but it's also your realistic, grounded earth side, you know, where you pretty much just think, I know exactly what I'm doing and how I'm going to get to it eventually. Because then in the future, you get the moon. Now, this is interesting. This could also be taking place around September 7th, the full moon in Pisces. So, what do we know about, you know, the full moon? Is it's definitely, or the moon card, is that you're definitely being beckoned and seduced by this vampiress, or of course, your intuition in other ways, on heading towards a different direction. Because that's what the Eight of Wands are all about, is fast movement and development, but it's also about, you know, taking off and maybe choosing a different direction, because maybe you did have a conflict with a Leo and stuff like that, but you know, that should never stop you in ever finding true happiness, whether it's within yourself or a potential husband, wife, partner, companion out in this world as well. Because Oracle wants to add transgression, flaws, contradictions, mistakes. And that's actually a very important key theme to actually always look at, is if you've even, you know, suffered from any kind of transgressions, flaws, or mistakes. There's never such thing as a perfect relationship, because there's always going to be clashings, there's always going to be different senses, intuition, feelings, thoughts, perspectives about things. I mean, and of course, you know, it's like contradictions or mistakes, you know, it's like there's no such thing as ever, you know, never, yeah, well, coming across, you know, the best relationship ever, where there's, you know, no flaws or contradictions in other ways. But anyway, you know, it's like if there was any kind of like mistakes that you felt like you've made, thinking, my goodness, how could I have even been with this man or woman? What is wrong with me? Blah, 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 you know, and they even have, you know, that kind of judgment from other people to say, what, you know, how could you have been with that person? Didn't you see the red flags? Forgive yourself, please. And, you know, don't feel like, you know, oh, now I should be punishing myself because I chose wrongly. No. The thing is about courtship. The thing is about meeting people, is you just see the human body, but you don't know what people are thinking or who they are on the inside. They may, you know, will come across as very charming, loving, and even seductive, but then they can even be the devil in disguise, or they might come across as being, you know, overly loving and caring, and maybe they're, you know, they're traumatized themselves. Maybe they themselves have transgressions and flaws and stuff like that, but then they respect other people. You know, that's kind of the complicated matter about any kind of courtships or dating, is that, you know, you look at somebody and, you know, you find all this attraction about that person, and then, you know, suddenly, you know, you start seeing this other side to them, and then you just think, wow, how could I have missed that? Well, sometimes, you know, the red flags are visible, but sometimes they're not. And it's always best to always do a lot of self-love and self-care, self-nurturing, self-healing, but a lot of self-forgiveness for yourself, 100%. Because Favole wants to continue with... Okay, the Ace of Maps, also known as the Ace of Wands. Now, I see you putting time and energy into anything, whether it's healing, whether it's recovering, whether it's finding new love in other ways. But there's definitely, you know, time and energy going to be taking place sometime soon. And I can't say when or how, only time will tell. But it's also how much time and effort you're going to be putting into this voyage of yours, of heading down the moon path with, yeah, with, you know, this sense of clarity as well. So, the French Tarot deck wants to finish off with Éclaireur d'Argent. So this is Page of Pentacles, and of course one of your beautiful cards. So I do see that you're heading off towards, you know, some kind of like material possession. Maybe you're going to be heading off towards your goals, your dreams, your desires, your wishes, whatever it is and stuff. But what is another symbol of the material possession is a wedding band or an engagement ring as well. So you might end up, you know, following this path of whatever it may be, and just thinking, you know, eventually, you know, you could also get engaged or married as well. As, you know, only time will tell, sad but true. But it's pretty much, it's like that there's definitely also this new beginning, this new journey, this development, this sense of healing, because you're also the one who's also putting time and energy on embarking on this new journey as being the Page of Pentacles, in today's reading at least. Okay, well, sad but true, I'm going to have to leave it at this. But again, happy birthday to all my beautiful Virgos out in this world. And thank you so much for joining me today. If this reading resonated, please feel free to join and subscribe to my channel. In a few days, I'm going back to general readings. So for now, I'm just doing love in general. Not so sure how I'll do those the next time. But if anybody out there is interested in a personal reading, on my YouTube channel, I have this project page link where I have the different types of prices, even for birthday readings, if anybody's ever interested in one. But other than that, I love you guys incredibly. I want to wish you all the best of luck on where this journey may take you. And again, take excellent good care of yourself.